Most people in the UK believe that animal rescue centres are regulated, inspected, licensed, held to some kind of standard before they can take your animal. Or your money. 79% of people assume this, according to a recent survey. They're not. Anyone, right now today, can call themselves an animal rescue in England. They can set up a Facebook page, give themselves a nice charity-sounding name, take your dog, of course take your money, and face absolutely no routine inspection, no licensing, and absolutely no welfare standard of any kind. I found this out while researching for one of my writing projects, and things ended up going considerably further downhill than just a regulatory gap. I intend to write stories about animals who are let down by the humans who are supposed to protect them, and being able to do so means actually understanding what that looks like in the real world. If you're a dog breeder selling 4 litters a year, you need a council licence, inspections, and welfare standard checks, and you can't hand over a single dog without them. There are rules. But a rescue, taking in 100 dogs, needs nothing at all. No licence, no inspections, no one checking what's going on behind closed doors before you hand your animal over. On a positive note, Scotland regulated this in 2021. However, England, Wales and Northern Ireland still haven't. Let's see what resulted. In May 2025, police in Essex, alongside the RSPCA and Basildon Council, visited a property in Crays Hill, Billericay. They were responding to community reports about an operation, calling itself Save a Paw UK. What they found was described in court by the attending veterinarian as the most horrific thing she'd ever witnessed in her entire professional career. 21 were alive, but in conditions that the court described as inhumane and appalling. The man running Save a Paw had presented himself as a rescue and rehabilitation service. He had a Facebook page with thousands of followers and many positive reviews. He charged surrender fees and accepted donations, with the promise to rehome the animals passed on to him. And he would give updates. Then he stopped responding. Then he blocked people. One woman surrendered her dog because he'd shown some aggression and she was worried that she couldn't safely keep him. She told the court, and I'm paraphrasing, that she tortures herself imagining how confused and frightened he must have been. Taken somewhere he didn't know, to someone he didn't know, and she'll never know exactly what happened. And this displays not only the harm that the animal themselves have to suffer, but also the human cost of what these fake rescues do. It's the taking of someone loved under the promise of safety, and then having that just completely betrayed. On the 20th of February 2026, the individual behind Save a Paw was sentenced at Basildon Crown Court to 5 years in prison, convicted of fraud and of causing unnecessary suffering to 22 animals, as well as a lifetime ban from owning any animal. Although the judge also told him that no lawful sentence he could impose would adequately reflect the gravity of what he'd done. If this is the kind of thing you want to know about, please do feel free to subscribe to the channel. I cover the real issues behind the animals I write about, as well as the writing itself, each week. Save a Paw was not a registered charity. It never was. An application had been refused, nothing about which was visible on the social media page. Save a Paw is the most extreme case of its kind that I've found in recent UK history, but it certainly isn't the only example. Right now, the Charity Commission has an open statutory inquiry into another animal rescue, Animal Lifeline in Stoke-on-Trent, following a police investigation. That inquiry is ongoing, and no convictions have been recorded at the time of filming. But the inquiry is there, and it's examining the finances of a registered charity. These are not isolated cases. The Commission has investigated and closed animal rescues repeatedly in recent years for a variety of reasons. Missing funds, trustees paying off personal loans with donation money, accounts years overdue, and animals kept in conditions that should never have been allowed to continue. The pattern is always the same. Someone builds something that looks legitimate, uses all the right language of typical care and rescue practices, collects money or animals, or both. And, of course, there's nothing in place to check routinely whether what's happening behind closed doors actually matches what they're saying online. And then there's the online version of this, which is very much its own separate problem. Animal welfare researchers spent 6 weeks in 2024 tracking fake, staged rescue content on social media. This is worse than it initially sounds. as unfortunately this included animals who were deliberately put into distress so that they could be rescued on camera, with the sole purpose of generating advertising revenue and donations. In 6 weeks, they found over 1,000 links which, in total, had generated around 572 million views. Platforms have policies against this sort of thing, but the content is still there, and the algorithms are still pushing it. What I needed to understand about this from my writing was the mechanism. The way that trust is exploited, and one's own love for an animal becomes the very thing used against you. As well as, the way that a credible looking front, whether it be a Facebook page with loads of positive reviews and a charity sounding name, can actually conceal something very sinister behind it. I won't tell you exactly how this connects to my writing because, well, that would be very spoiling indeed, but I'll happily say that the reason this research made me very angry, which it did, is because once again, it's the animals that have absolutely no say in what happens to them. They were handed over by people who love them, possibly through a lot of tears and grief, and they ended up somewhere and in a situation that they should never have been. Unfortunately, although relevant to one of my novel work in progresses, this whole thing certainly isn't a fictional premise, nor is it an isolated or even a rare occurrence. Also, unfortunately, writing a story that makes someone, really feel what's going on behind it requires properly understanding it first. If you're considering handing an animal to a rescue, or donating to one, check the Charity Commission register first. Their registration number, their trustees, their filed accounts. If they're calling themselves a charity and they aren't on that register, that's the first flag that should be raised in your mind. Secondly, ask to visit the premises. Any legitimate rescue will say yes. If they deflect or delay or start making excuses, another flag. And thirdly, don't pay via personal methods such as PayPal or bank transfer or gift cards, etc. Instead, use a proper charitable donation route. Put simply, if something goes wrong, you need a paper trail and you need protection. Now, I want to be clear about something. Vast majority of animal rescues in the UK are run by people who genuinely care and who generally give far more than they ever receive, often running on nothing. The argument here is not against them, and being aware of fraudulent activity, such as highlighted here, actually goes a long way for them. Every case like Save a Paw erodes the trust that they depend on. And more importantly, every penny that goes to a fraudulent operation is a penny not going to an animal that genuinely needs help. Scotland has a licensing system for this, one that's been in place since 2021. The rest of the UK should have one too. If you've had an experience with a fake rescue, or know someone who has, tell me about it in the comments. If you want to follow my writing, which is the fiction that comes out of research like this, the link to the newsletter is in the description.